Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's Halloween tutorial will be Lady from the Devil May Cry series. This outfit, although it's from number 4, is one that I made 9 years ago. Can you believe it? I would definitely remake it if I ever were to wear her again, but when they announced that Lady would be on Devil May Cry 5, I freaked out. I was so happy. I actually had plans to do a makeup tutorial for a different character for this, but once they announced it, I put up a poll on my Twitter and Lady ended up winning out. So because you guys wanted to end up seeing Lady, I'm definitely here to provide, and let's celebrate Devil May Cry 5 together. In addition to the poll, I wanted to do this because Devil May Cry was a series that was very special to my late brother-in-law. Now, he was playing it and then he got Ginger, my partner, into it, who later got me into it, and I fell absolutely head over heels with the character of Lady. I loved her strength, I love her business acumen, just everything about her was super interesting and wonderful to me. So I'm really happy to share this with you guys. Today we're going to start with our face already primed and with a layer of foundation. And for Lady, she has a condition called heterochromia, which means that each of her eyes are a different color. So what I did was I put in a red contact on the left. The contact lens that I used was the super pinky bright red, which I really love because it mimics the structure of a normal eye and has some multifaceted color in it. And for the right eye, I used the Geo Princess Mimi Sesame Gray. She has sort of like a blue-green eye, but a gray would do as well. I liked this one because it has a similar enlarging effect than this. I could use my normal eye, but then it would look like one eye is significantly bigger than the other. And from here, we'll start with the very important step of priming the eye. I'm using the Too Faced Shadow Insurance Eye Primer. This step is important because it helps the color adhere to the eyes and make it last long. Before I found out about primer, that all of the color that I would work so hard on would always seep into the cracks in my eyelid. But once I found primer, I found that that happened much less, only when the weather was really hot. And then we'll move on to concealer. I like to put on concealer right underneath my eyes in a V shape on my cheek and anywhere that needs extra coverage. Keep in mind you can use either a brush or a beauty sponge for this step. From there, we're going to dip back into my favorite palette ever, which is the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is going to be based on the new Devil May Cry 5 design. For the most part, this is going to be a pretty basic tutorial except for a couple of things. I looked hard to see if she has that telltale scar right in the middle of her nose, and although it's faded, she still does, so I'm going to do a few scarring effects today. Now, in her new character design, she doesn't look like she's wearing a lot of makeup at all. But in some of the previews, it looked like she had a subtly brown smoky eye, so that's what I'm going to do today. Sometimes instead of going for full-on accuracy, I instead go for what I feel will look good as the character. So I'm definitely going to really go with that brown smoky eye, but I'm not going to go very hard and heavy like I did with the Bloodborne look. I'm going to start by dipping into the shade Raw Sienna and then use that as a transition shade. Because I have neutral / cool tone skin, that brown shade looks very orange on me, so I'm going to diffuse it with a little bit of that shade Warm Taupe. Now I'm also going to add a transition shade to the bottom using a smaller fluffy brush in the shade Warm Taupe. Now I'm going to expand and add a little bit of color to the lid. I'm going in with the color Warm Taupe, starting down at the bottom of the lid and then going up into my transition shade. For this smoky eye look, we're going to start with darker colors on the bottom and then blending into lighter colors as we go up. From here, we're going to use a packing brush and dip into the shade Antique Bronze. We're going to build that up on the eyelid and then blend into our transition shades. From there, we're going to deepen it even more. We're going to take that packing brush again and then dip into the deep tone Cypress Umber and put it on the outer corner and very bottom of the top of our eyelids. And then we blend that in again using our fluffy brush. Some of that pigment might have fallen down onto your face, so you can use a powder brush to dust it right off. Now we can move on to our lower lashes. We've added a transition shade, and now we're going to translate what we did on top down onto the bottom. Since we already used Warm Taupe as a transition shade, I'm going to take Antique Bronze and then use my packing brush, the same one that I used on the top of my eye, to translate that down onto my lower lash line. And I'll finish up with the deep brown tone, Cypress Umber, and put that on the outer corner of my lower lash line. Then using a small fluffy brush, we blend all of that color in. The good news is that the eyes are almost done. The last part of this process is the lashes. So for Lady, you really don't need to put on false lashes, but I'm going to do it just because I really like doing it for costuming. I love the transformative look it gives me. These ones are called Muse by Coco Lashes. Yet again, I'm going in with my Duo Lash Glue, and because this lash glue takes about a minute or two to dry, I'm going to clip the lashes first while it dries. What I always do is put the lash glue in the pan, give it a moment to dry, and do a couple other things while it happens to be drying. Quite big, not too big though. For once I used the scissors right, yay! That looks like it'll fit a lot better. I did that right. I did something today. Also, while the glue dries, I'm going to add a little bit of concealer right up at the top here in case I had any fallout situations, and then blend that up into the bottom lash color. Now it's time to put the lashes on, which is always nerve-wracking for me, but we'll get through this together. Now when I put the lashes on, I always dip the lashes into the glue line that I made, taking care to put the most glue on each corner. As always with white lash glues, they will dry down clear in a couple minutes. So from here I'm going to do the eyebrows. Now I'm going to go in with the Revlon Colorstay brow pencil. It's in the tone Soft Black. Now Lady has some very pitch black hair, and it was weirdly difficult to find a brow pencil that will work with that. The darkest black that I could find was a soft black, so we're going to go ahead and go in with that. Oh, this is huge! Why? Why, my lord? I also take care to overdraw on the outer corner of the brows. For some reason this looks a lot better in real life than it does on camera. I apologize for the way that looks right now. Huh? It fell out! Revlon! And the pencil dropped somewhere. Probably on my green shirt. I don't even doubt. Oh, I found you! Oh, you fucking criminal. Okay, crisis averted, I found it. It was on the carpet, but no stains. Hooray! Oh, there's more. Okay, Revlon. Okay, I guess. So in the end, that looks pretty much okay. It's good to use, especially when I'm gonna have a wig with bangs on. And now that the lash glue is pretty much dry, we're gonna do the final step on the eyes, which is mascara. I'm going in with the Butter London Double Decker Lashes Mascara. And just like its name, it glides on like butter. And now we're completely done with the eyes and eyebrows and can move on to the face. First, I'm going to bronze my face using the Hoola bronzer. I put this on the cheeks and all over the side of my face to warm it up and add just a little bit of shading. For this character, bronzing and contouring really are optional. She looks like she has pretty much a bare face, but I really like to highlight the structure of my face, especially when I'm costuming, so that it's easy to see in pictures and from afar. I'm going to expand upon that bronzer a little more with my e.l.f. Bronzer Duo and use the deepest brown color to deepen that up on the very edges of my face. Now, although you really don't have to contour for this character at all, I'm going to do a little bit of nose contour with the bronzing shade that I use, the Hoola bronzer. And then I'll blend all of that in using a powder brush. See how although that wasn't necessary, it really brought out the structure of my face. So that's why I tend to like doing it, especially for cosplay. For the next step, I'm going to set the entire face with powder. For this one, I'm not going to go in with such a full coverage powder as I would for a character like Maria. I'm going in with the Patrick Star translucent powder. So before we go on to do the highlighter, I'm actually going to draw on her scar and then use some scarring makeup. Because in essence this is such a basic look, this is what's going to make this look unique and exciting. See, can we appreciate for a moment how naturally gorgeous she looks? She looks like a real person. Her teeth aren't even perfectly white, which makes me feel great because my teeth also aren't perfectly white. So her scar is right on the middle of her nose. So I'm going to use this reference and start out by tracing it in with a lip pencil. This one just happens to be a MAC lip pencil in the shade Vino, but you can just use any that's kind of red or fleshy toned. This looks super obvious right now, but this is going to serve as a reference for our scarring liquid. The scarring liquid that I'm going to use is the Mehron Rigid Collusion, which actually has an effect on the skin which makes it look like it's actually scarred. Now, because the Rigid Collusion dries down very clear and very shiny, I'm actually going to put some concealer over it. In retrospect, I should have done this before I started contouring, but it's all good. We can always redo any part that we go over with concealer. And now we wait for the liquid to start working, which should take a couple of minutes. While the scarring liquid dried, I noticed something when I was looking at her character design. I noticed that she actually does have a little bit of black eyeliner on the bottom part of her eye, and I'm going to translate that to the top of her eye as well. So this is a fun thing that we can do while the scarring liquid dries. I'm taking a little sample that I have of the Makeup Forever Aqua XL eye pencil in the shade black. Because that ended up being rather messy, I'm going to go in with a pencil brush and the shade Antique Bronze from the Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm going to blend all that in. Now that the scarring liquid is fully dry, I'm actually going to cover it right back up with the same concealer that I used before, the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Because we applied it to the nose, the scarring liquid didn't have the chance to set very deep into the skin since it's really just bone and cartilage. I'm going to go in with a little bit of that Modern Renaissance palette, and we're going to make this look a little bit more like a scar, just for fun. This part's going to be very experimental, so you might see me concealing anything that I don't feel is perfectly right. I'm going to go in with a mix of warm taupe and raw sienna on a teeny tiny brush. This part was mainly just trial and error to indicate the scar. Because the nose is mostly bone and cartilage, the Rigid Collusion liquid didn't do as much as I had really hoped. For a lot of people, if you use it on the cheek, it really sucks in the area around the scar, which makes it look very gnarly. But for us, it did that just ever so subtly. So it ended up being a blessing that I used such a dark lip pencil to indicate the scar. Once again, I'm just going to redo the little bit of contouring on my nose and cover that with a layer of powder. And now for the icing on the cake, which is highlighter. For Lady, I'd imagine that she would be a little bit glistening because she's fighting demons all night. So I'm going to go in with the Max Fix Plus Gold Light and apply it to this T-line of my face so that it gives it a little bit of glisten and a great base to add highlighter. And now, while that Fix Plus is still slightly damp, I'm going in with the Kristen, Leanne and Urban Decay highlighter in the gold shade in the middle. But you can use either shade, whatever works best for your own skin tone. I'm applying this with a fan brush to the tops of my cheeks, my nose, and my Cupid's bow. Then I'm going to finish off the rest of my face with a more matte setting spray. To top it off, we're going to do the lips. Now, when I was looking over her character design, I noticed she really doesn't have much product at all on her lips. If anything, it's a layer of either chapstick or lip gloss. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep my lips completely bare with a layer of lip gloss. The one I'm using is the Marc Jacobs Sugar Sugar Gloss in the color Enamored, which I think is a really perfect nude gloss. However, you really don't have to go ahead and spring for something like a Marc Jacobs lip gloss. You can use any that suits you best. And that tops off the look. Although I still don't look like her right now, I will once I put on the wig. I'm going to use the same wig that I used to cosplay her 9+ years ago. I'm also going to use the pieces of the costume that I happen to have. For some reason, I have every piece except for the holster on the top, which is really unfortunate, but it's great that I still have the top part that I made all that long time ago. Now I'm going to put on my wig and I'll see you for the final look. I hope that you all enjoyed this Lady from Devil May Cry makeup tutorial. I hope that it's helpful for some of you who may want to cosplay her in the coming months, especially since Devil May Cry 5 is coming out so soon. We've been waiting for 10 years for this and it's finally happening. I personally still can barely even believe it. If you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your comments on this, and if this was helpful for you, let me know. This is something that I did as a set of specials for you guys, but if it was particularly helpful or if you liked it a lot, I can continue this or do a set of specials for either convention season or next Halloween, depending on the demand and how much you guys overall liked it. Your feedback is really, really valuable to me, and I'm going to listen to it before I go forward and make even more videos. Otherwise, I'll continue doing what I do best, which is game reviews, news, and Bloodborne lore. But if you particularly enjoyed this, I can add it to the roster and then do another set of specials at a later time, because I personally had so much fun with this. I hope you guys have an excellent night or day wherever you are. Remember, be good to each other, and see you in the next one. Devil may fry. Devil may fry! Devil may fart. Okay, I see you. I see you. I didn't forget them. They were here all along. I have my scarf. I do. It's in my bra. There it is. And now for the icing on the cake, which is... what is the icing on the cake? And then using a small fluffy blush, you blend all of that color in. Did I say fluffy blush? So if you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up and comment down below. Thumbs up and thumbs down, and unsubscribe to my channel.